Good, very warm welcome to Meditating with Brixton Buddhist Community. Really welcome to Monday night meditation. So what we've been doing the last 4 weeks is we've been looking at the Metta Bhavana practice. If you don't know what the Metta Bhavana practice is, it's the cultivation of loving kindness. So this practice of wishing people well. And we've been exploring that from different angles. So if you've been tuning into that series on the Metta Bhavana, or you know the Metta Bhavana, what you might not know is that it's part of a bigger series, a broader kind of, you could say a whole kind of range of practices called the Brahma Viharas. And the Brahma Viharas is literally translated as the heavenly abodes. So what I'm going to be doing tonight is I'm going to be basically introducing what's going to be coming up in the next series, which is investigation of the Brahma Viharas, or these heavenly abodes. And what they are, so you've got metta, you've got this practice of wishing people well, and then when that meets somebody who is doing well, then there's this kind of upwelling of sympathetic joy. So we'll explore whether that is actually how we respond to people when they're doing well. And then when people are struggling, what happens when metta meets people that are struggling, that are suffering, is compassion. There's this kind of desire for them to be free of that struggle, whatever it is. And then as a kind of a broader practice is equanimity. What you see with equanimity is you see that, life just is up and down, isn't it? And people struggle, and then they rise up, and then things are going well for them. And that's all happening all the time for everybody. And within all that, you really want somebody through the ups and downs of their lives to progress in their life. In a certain way, this could be a little bit controversial, but in a certain way, it's an exhortation to enlightenment. So you're actually wishing enlightenment for another being, in a sense. Yeah. However we can kind of devise that in our minds. You could say that you're wishing enlightening for somebody. Somebody is moving towards states of love and kindness and awareness. So you're wishing that for people, yeah. So so there's this whole kind of broad range of the Brahma Viharas, which in a way is it's a very exciting kind of prospect, in a way, that you can meet life in whatever form it comes in with metta. Yeah. So I'll be talking a bit about a kind of overview of that tonight, and I'll be doing a guided meditation on that kind of draws in each one of those aspects of the Brahma Viharas into the one meditation. Okay. And then what will happen over the next 6 weeks, basically, we'll spend next 2 weeks on compassion, sympathetic joy for 2 weeks, and then we'll look at equanimity. So we'll start to really get a chance to explore and investigate those kind of states in our actual experience. Yeah? So if you don't know me, I'm Marcinama. So, again, very warm welcome, especially if it's your first time. I'm down here in Space, which is in Brixton. Joined with some friends. We've got Lisa over here, Emma, Alex and Jack is doing the technology tonight. So you're very warm welcome to it's basically like a kind of come in and join and meditate alongside us as part of Brixton Buddhist Community. So there's a chat function that's enabled, so you can say who you are, where you kind of residing at the moment. So it'd be nice to be able to say hello to you, whoever's watching. So do make use of that. So just going to enable that on the thing. So all right. So already we've got Jill. Hiya Jill. Pam. There's Ian. and Harriet in Elephant and Castle. Right, so Harriet's actually going to be on a course with us starting on Thursday. So shameless plug. I'm going to talk a bit more about that later. But it's a really good course starting on Thursday. So looking forward to being on that with you, Harriet. So let's, why don't we get ourselves set up and we'll do a little body scan just to kind of bring us up to the present, really, up to where we are really at now. We need to come at meditation with the assumption we don't really know how we are most of the time. Yeah. So what we're going to do for this 5 minutes is explore, come up to the now, and see how we are. And that will settle us in for the evening. So just a short meditation, about 5 minutes. So if you're at home, oh hi, there's Richard as well in Herne Hill. Hi Richard. So you guys at home, just set yourselves up in a good posture. By that I mean try and get yourself upright in the chair or the sofa where you're at, or if you're on the cushions. Find a posture that's going to serve you for this short meditation. And if you're happy to, then just closing your eyes. And just before you do anything else, just come into relationship with your body. And just spend a little time persevering with bringing your attention into your body, inhabiting your body with your attention. So getting a broad sense of the kind of energy of your body. Is it feeling a little bit sluggish, a little tight? Or maybe you feel quite energized and awake. So just however you are, you don't need to think about it, you just experiencing that directly through the body. And then bringing your attention to where your body contacts the ground. And there you're going to find more sensation. So you're just tuning into that. What does that feel like? And you can start to play with letting go of any holding in your legs, so that the legs just start to soften into that contact with the ground. Just gently persevering with that. Noticing the area of the tummy. Noticing if there's any holding on in the tummy. And if you can find anything like that, you can just start to encourage that holding to start to let go. You're just gently persevering with that. If the mind wanders off, you just come back to Softening through the tummy. Noticing the area of the shoulders. Just see if you can start to allow the shoulders to relax. Might not be immediately obvious how to do that, but just by bringing your attention into the area of the shoulders, you can start to find any tension. Just breathe into that tension, see if it starts to let go. Let me see what happens. Now just relaxing in the area around the eyes and the forehead. Around the mouth. And then just coming down into contact with the area of your chest and just feel the movement of yourself breathing. Then start to inhabit again the whole of your body. And remembering that you're just sitting here in your rooms, at home or here in the every space, and we're meditating together with other people. Okay, good. Sammy's joined us as well. Hi Sammy, good evening. I'm just going to tell you this little story of this thing that happened to me quite recently. I was telling Jack actually on the way down here. I've just been on a little retreat in Devon, and it was in a caravan. I was in it was a little caravan near the beach. It's kind of quite nice, but it's quite a nice caravan park. They weren't all piled on top of each other, and yet there's dynamics. There's the people that have been there a long time and they own their caravans, and there was people that were coming in and renting. And I started to pick up on these little dynamics. Some people were more or less friendly, and because I was there on my own, I was kind of sensitised to this phenomenon of kind of concern of how people were seeing me. Yeah, I kind of just tuned into that. We all have that. We have that from the age, that awful, I noticed from that awful time when my daughter started to become self-conscious of the fact that people were seeing her. Do you know what I mean? And that's self-consciousness kind of creeps in. Anyway, I started to think, look, I've been practicing a long time, and why am I, I should be free of this kind of this kind of self-consciousness. So, so anyway, it built up to a head, and I kind of, well, what I realised eventually was that it came to me that I couldn't get rid of this self-consciousness. I couldn't kind of get rid of it or talk my way out of it in that way. What it became clear to me is that I needed to have other people's well-being at heart. It just came, suddenly it just became abundantly clear, and I've been practicing a long time, you just need to care more for people. You need to care more for people, and that kind of concern, that self-concern will change. And so I started taking more of an interest in the metta bhavana, taking more of a kind of concerned interest in the metta bhavana, and something changed in my experience. I started to realise I was being more friendly to people. They were responding, and suddenly I felt much less self-concerned, much more comfortable, much more at ease. So this is it's quite interesting with Buddhism. There's never really new things that you learn. You just only learn things in a more deeper way. That's basically how it works. So of course, and you just drop in further into what I did is I dropped further into my trust in metta practice. So the Brahma Viharas expands metta practice out. It really takes metta practice and expands it out into a whole, in a way of being in the world. And there's this kind of tree analogy that you can use. You've got the metta as the trunk of the tree. You've got this sympathetic joy, or this wish for this kind of reveling in other people's happiness as the branches kind of reaching up into the sky. You've got these roots going deep down into the earth of compassion, really just a real wish for this alleviation of suffering. And ultimately, you kind of, whether it's someone else's suffering or your suffering, what Buddhism says is that starts to blur that distinction. So you get this kind of this deep nourishment from the roots, and then this tree doesn't exist in isolation. It exists in connection with everything. So everybody, and this is again another kind of Buddhist kind of truth that you can get into deeper and deeper, is that everybody's living out on basis of their conditions. The conditions of the mind, the people that they're with, the way they're going about their life, their conditioning as a child, in childhood, and so on. It's all kind of feeding into your current experience, your present experience. So this kind of web of conditions is conditioning what your current experience is. So once you start to penetrate into that, you start to feel, there's this idea of equanimity. Whether people are having a good time or a bad time, you're just wishing that the conditions come together, that they make progress. And that's why I said it's a bit like it's an invocation of enlightenment. Whether you believe in enlightenment or not, so to speak, what you are doing is you're evoking someone's well-wish, and you're evoking a change in the direction of enlightenment, in a sense, at that equanimous level, at that deepest level. But that comes from largely from their own efforts, and you can really see that is true. So we're going to explore each of those facets of the Brahma Viharas' heavenly abodes over the next 6 weeks. And the way we're going to explore them, we've been talking a bit about these, over the last 4 weeks, there was these 2 ways of exploring practice. There was this receptive model, which was the kind of feeling out of what your current experience is, what's actually going on now, kind of, You're not trying to make anything happen. You're just trying to feeling into it. And then there's active cultivation, trying to bring something into being. Yeah? And this is really important. These two aspects are really fundamental aspects of meditation. Yeah, really, really important. And we'll bring them into the guided meditation. Yeah, we'll be moving between this active and this receptive pole. So one way of thinking about these two is path and mandala. So it's very tempting, isn't it, to think of meditation as something you're on a path. That's often the analogy that's used, isn't it? Buddhism, you're on a path. I'm on my spiritual path because I'm on my journey. There's a sense of going somewhere, right? And that's really, really important. In fact, that's really important in the early stages when you first come along. It's like you need to get your energy going. You need to get started. You need to get moving. Yeah. So this idea of path is really, really important. But it needs a corrective, because what happens is with path, with using that as your basic model, is everything is kind of willed. You're kind of willing everything to happen, yeah? And it can all get a little bit tight and a little bit pushy, yeah? That's often when meditation goes dry. I don't know if you've had that sense of, God, my meditation's just started to really dry up, and where's the inspiration? It's often because you're pushing too hard. You're trying to make something happen. So the wellspring of inspiration, the wellspring of kind of the juiciness, so to speak, of meditation can often come from this receptivity. So in correction to the path, we think of the mandala. The mandala, I don't know if you've seen those kind of old Tibetan sand paintings, and you always have a Buddha at the centre, and then you have these different elements surrounding the Buddha, yeah? So there's this sense of unfolding. It's a sense of kind of unfolding. So, yeah, these are two kind of correctives that are really important to bring into your meditation, this kind of sense of activity and trying to cultivate something, and then this just sense of kind of, well, what's actually happening, yeah? So I just wondered if there's anything in there. Is anything in there was that all kind of quite straightforward? Is there anything in there that caught attention?
It's very straightforward.
It's very straightforward, says Alex. Okay, so now we're just going to move into, well, how do we actually use that in meditation? So I'll be asking you to do is with this receptive part, we're going to think about dropping down into the well of our hearts, yeah? So here's a quite strong image. This is quite a strong image. Think of a well. It's quite kind of like, it's a quite mysterious image straight away. It's like there's life-giving kind of water at the bottom, and it's down this deep kind of pit or shaft. So if you were to go down into the well of your heart, it's going to be a bit dark. It's going to be a bit mysterious. You're not going to quite know what you're going to find there. And what I'm going to be asking you to do is just kind of in the dark, so to speak, just kind of feel around and have a little feel for, well, what's actually happening here. Don't assume that you know what's going on. Alex, you particularly, don't assume you know what's going on. So you don't assume that you know what's going on. You don't assume that you know you're in a happy state or you're in a sad state. You're trying to feel that out. Well, that's just a kind of label, isn't it? What does it actually feel like to be in that state? Yeah. So it's almost like you're getting at the graininess or the texture of the state you're in. Yeah, and you're feeling it out. You don't know what's going on. You don't know yet what's going on. You're feeling it out. Yeah. So we're looking for that a feeling out quality. And what I'll say in this one is, watch out for this voice that says, yeah, move along now. You need to do something. You need to you're bored, this is boring, or this, or I'm gonna, or another one that can start is an idea that I'm gonna get caught in this state, whatever state I'm in, I'm gonna get caught in it if I dwell and investigate in this way. I'm going to, I've got to move on. Yeah. If you hear that voice or that kind of inclination to push through what's happening, stop. Just stop and don't believe it. Just for tonight. For tonight. Don't believe that that's what you need to do necessarily. Yeah. So we're going to stay away from. We're going to watch out. We're going to feel our way into our experience, and we're going to watch out for this voice or this inclination to push past that. Yeah. And then for the active element, I'm going to talk briefly about the phrases that we can use. Yeah, the phrases are going to be the active component. And it's interesting with meditation teaching goes through fashions, and there has been a fashion recently for not using these phrases because they can become quite hackneyed and mechanical. But I've been finding on this last retreat that they are still useful because they can just be, they can kind of create a kind of impetus, just a sudden kind of stimulus in your mind for something new to kind of arise. Yeah? So we're going to use them as this kind of little stimulus, yeah? A little kind of drop, a little pebble into the well, you know, like. And see what happens, yeah? See what happens, see what effect that has, yeah? So the phrases are, may I be well. We do the Metta Bhavana in these 5 stages. In fact, we do the Brahma Viharas in these 5 stages, regardless of which one we concentrate on. We take ourselves as the object, a good friend, neutral person, someone we don't have strong feeling for one way or the other, someone we're not getting on with. And then, very importantly, we bring these people all together, ourselves included, and feel a kind of constancy or equality in the metta that we can feel for each of those persons before expanding out. So that's the basic structure of the Metta Bhavana and the Brahma Viharas, which anybody who's been meditating with Triratna will know well. And these phrases, we're going to basically have a receptive practice, but we're going to drop in these phrases as this impetus. And we'll just say a little bit about each phrase. So, may I be well or may they be well. You don't need to remember any of this because I'll be guiding it. So you don't need to remember any of this. But may I be well, may they be well. You really, in a way, what do we mean by well? Sometimes it's useful to kind of like pick the word and say, what does it mean? You know, and by well, what we're getting at is that they're just relating to their experience in a kindly way. Yeah, they're just meeting their experience, or if it's related to us, we're meeting our experience in a kind of, well, with the right attitude in a way, with the right kind of attitude, with the right kind of inclination towards it. Yeah. So may I be well, may they be well. And the next 2 are kind of poles of the same. They're kind of poles of the spectrum of life. Things go up as well as down. You know, stocks go up as well as down. You know, stocks and shares go up as well as down. Our lives go up and down. Yeah, regardless of how long you've been practicing, your life is going up and down as conditions arise, which you're like, hey, I'm really like, you know, this is really working for me, life. I think I've got it here now. And then things change, don't they? Because of this basic truth of impermanence. So the 2 poles are we're all moving through those all the time. We're moving through those poles of things going for us and things not going for us. Yeah, us and us suffering. Yeah, so may they be happy. Or may I be happy. We're just acknowledging that happiness is a state and that we can enjoy that when it's there, when it's present to us, when conditions are coming and we're cruising, you know, then we can enjoy that. Yeah, we can enjoy that. And the same when conditions have come apart at the seams, people around us have become ill, or job insecurity, or other life, or just basic discomfort, that basic grindiness that can just enter into our experience. Well, a freedom of that. How a wishing a freedom of that. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants to be enmeshed in suffering and discomfort. And what about freedom of that? Yeah, what would that be like for ourselves and others? And then finally, there's this equanimity. There's this idea of progress. Yeah, and again, what does the word mean? From a Buddhist point of view, these emergent qualities in us are arising, are deepening, are flourishing, and we wish that for other people. Everybody wants a sense of that happening in their lives. Yeah. And that might be through work, that might be through family, that might be through some other meaningful enterprise, but they want a sense of meaning and flourishing and opening and progress. Yeah? So I'll drop those in. Don't have to remember anything I've said. I'll drop those in and just use them as a little impetus, a little radar, a little depth charge. That might not be quite the right analogy, but you know what I mean. We're just dropping something in and seeing what's going to unfold. So let's get into meditation and try that out. So we'll have a chance to ask some questions after this sit. So let's just settle into posture, and there's been a lot of words. I've produced a lot of words. So just for a moment, start taking in the space around you in terms of sound, so that you can start to broaden out to this soundscape. Just the ambient sound, and then other sounds emerging and submerging back into that. And in that space we can feel ourselves, our body, and our contact with the ground. Just relaxing, softening through the legs and the tummy. And then also in the shoulders and neck. Around your face, eyes, forehead. And coming down into your chest, centre of your chest, the heart centre. Say the centre of our emotional lives. And just seeing from a sensation point of view what we can feel there at the heart centre. Interestingly, that doesn't have to be confined just to our physical body. You can feel the energy around that area. What does it feel like? Is it... have a feel, have a sense. We don't know it. We don't know ourselves. We don't know what we are feeling like at the moment. So just start to come into contact with sensations around the heart centre. And if that feels nondescript or flat, then we just feel our way into that. Metta Bhavana with the 4 phrases. So now just dropping into this well, into this space that's opening up. Dropping in the face, may I be well. And you don't need to discuss that with yourself. You can just dwell on that word, well. And it's okay if nothing's happening. It's okay if there aren't big fanfares of emotion. We're just seeing, may I be well, and feeling our way in this space of the heart. And may I be happy. And may I be free from suffering. And may I make progress. So we journeyed through those 4 Brahma Viharas, just letting go of any effort and just staying in a kind of gentle, curious attitude to what's happening, even if that isn't very much. Now we're going to bring a good friend to mind. Somebody we know well, someone we've got good connection with. Just get a sense of them. Noticing any response in the texture of this strange, mysterious well of our heart. May they be well. And may they be happy. And may they be free of suffering. And may they make progress in their lives. So then just noticing if there's any forcing going on. Any dialogue about how things should be different, progressing differently in the practice. And just, you don't need to listen to that for now. So just letting a good friend go. And we're going to bring to mind somebody we don't know very well, one way or the other, but we've seen them around at work or on the way to work, in the neighbourhood. Whoever comes to mind is the right person. And may they be well. May they be happy. May they be free of suffering. May they make progress in their lives. So just coming back and making sure we're in our direct physical experience, wherever that is. Now just bringing to mind somebody we're having a bit of trouble with at the moment. And without papering over how you're actually feeling, just dropping in the face, may they be well. And may they be happy. And may they be free of suffering. May they make progress in their lives. So staying at ease. Part of the practice is cultivating ease during this type of investigation. And bring in those 3 people and together with yourself and just feeling the metta present, as it were, amongst you. And you might want to think that each of these people has a whole network of people spreading out. And you can just imagine it lively, spread out, wider and wider, this kind of field of metta spreading through all the connections of all these people and then all their connections. It wouldn't be long before you got to all beings, or all humans, and then there's all beings, all life, everything with life force. And now just letting go any effort at all, and just being with how you are just now. And just come back to your physical experience. Weight on the cushion or on the chair. This sense of meditating with other people. Hi Tom, Tom's joined us from Herne Hill. Hi Tom, good to have you with us. So we've got a bit of time now just to investigate that. We've had a bit of an exploration of. It was a bit of a whistle-stop tour actually of the phases in the meditation. But yeah, I just wondered if you had any reflections or what happened in the practice.
This is less of a question,
Mm.
but more of just a thank you.
Yes, I can hear you, that's all right.
Yeah, thank you. Because I personally found the imagery that you were using really, really helpful there. Like especially the well and then the words as pebbles. And at the end, I don't know, I feel like I've done the word development quite a few times and tried to think of connecting to different people. But I've never thought about doing it through like thinking of going through people's networks to each other and that kind of image of interconnectedness. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, yes, it's the images are really important, aren't they? It's strange how important they are in a way. You know, like it's almost like an image just kind of sets off a whole train of associations and feelings, doesn't it? So yeah, if you can work with imagination in the practice, you're really getting somewhere. In fact, that's a big part of it, I think, isn't it? Really, is actually accessing those images and those things which are, well, I call juicy. Things that are going to create get the movement and make things start to move in your meditation. Yeah. So if you find some, and it's interesting. Some work for a little while and then they lose their kind of potency or something. You've got to keep. Meditation is definitely a creative process. It's not drawing by numbers, it's so it's on the lookout for things which kind of inspire you. That will really keep meditation alive. Yeah. Anything else? You've always got something to say, Alex.
I also find that the point that Emma mentioned, that interconnectedness, kind of at the end, very useful. But I was wondering if kind of like how we can more kind of incorporate kind of Brahma Varis into our kind of like a 5 stage, because it seems that in the beginning we did the kind of the well kind of exercise, which is good. But how can we kind of that incorporate more into kind of 5 stages? So each stage would have some part of Brahma Varis.
Brahma Viharas. Yeah.
Just
So is the question to do with like how do you find the imagery for that you use, like the well and so on, the feeling out and what's happening? How do you use that for the other people in the stages?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
That's yes, sort of, yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah, I mean, yes, kind of like, yes, what we did kind of at the beginning, how we can replicate that for all other stages as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's not. There definitely is no formula, is it? As we all find out with meditation. It goes through kind of, for me, it goes through kind of phases or evolutions, you know. At the moment, what I'm working with is what do I mean? May they be well. Not in a discursive way, but like what does wellness? What kind of is that? You know, what is wellness? You know, because a word is only as good as it's as an image. You know, in the same way as an image is only as good as the way you explore it. A word is only as good as the way you. So, what is wellness? So, if I'm saying that to myself, may Alex be well. What do I mean? You know, what would well? How would that? What does that feel like to be well? You know what I mean? I want to try and get in the kind of inside it, so to speak. You know, often meditation, I feel like you need to kind of somehow get inside. You know, and so there's some sort of investigation that needs to happen. So what does happiness? What do I mean by that? I suppose I'm not that interested if Alex is just happy and bubbly. What do I mean by like happy? You know, what is the state of kind of happiness? You know, I've seen this kind of evoke that in my kind of mind, if you see what I mean. So I'm kind of trying to use the phrases to kind of get inside the emotion, if you see what I mean. And investigate it from the inside, but sometimes it requires a little bit of feeling around, and that's where this analogy of the well is quite good. You know, it's not obvious, you know, and you can't force anything. You know, again, you could even start to notice, like I was saying, you can notice that impetus to kind of try and force a feeling to kind of arise, and then that isn't metta, because you know, if you were telling anybody you should be feeling like happy now, they'll be like, don't want to, or whatever, you know. So you can't force anything out. So it's a teasing out. So even with the words, it's really important that you don't get kind of discursive. You know, get into, well, they'll be well when this and this happens, and they get that job promotion, and da 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 da. It's that becomes a mental mental exercise, if you see what I mean. So that's just one way I'm trying to get inside it at the moment is by taking a word and really trying to investigate. Well, what does that mean? You know, and that at some point that will run out for me, and I'll need to find new images or new ways to contact that. You know. I don't know if that helped at all. It's just it's a bit hard one to answer kind of categorically in a way. You know, there's I suppose
I kind of like I imagine normally kind of when I kind of do my metta bhavana, Like for example, if I have you in my mind, right? So I know you're a friend, right? I know what is your happy state. I've seen you when you are kind of your energy coming up. I imagine you in that state, and I just connect with that image of feeling. So I don't really kind of like give words. I feel like words are just kind of like spoiling my experience somehow.
Yeah.
I just in my experience,
Yeah,
I just imagine
yeah.
that kind of like kind of like the most happiest version I've seen you, for example, and not just happy because something, just like your energy high and I'm content and that image, and I connect with that image and just kind of imagine that.
Yeah, no, that's a really good way of doing the practice. That's a really good way of doing the practice. I suppose what I wanted to introduce is that there is a way to go into this practice through phrases, yeah. But if you find in the phrases, and if you find in the phrases are getting in the way, then and you kind of have a much more kind of direct kind of experience of the person and their well-wishing, it's fine, isn't it? You can kind of let them go, So they're another tool to bring in if you want to kind of stimulate something or just give a little bit of impetus into a bit of shape in a way into the practice. It might be you just getting a bit vague and just kind of vaguing out. It's just a way of kind of pulling it together a little bit. And what am I actually trying to evoke here? And so a way of kind of bringing that into being. But yeah, so I think thanks for that, Alex. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll leave the questions there. I want to say a couple of words about the Dana appeal. We always give a Dana appeal. Dana just means generosity. In a way, what way I kind of thinking of these Monday nights is come and meditate with the community. And the community isn't just like a certain bunch of people and other people kind of on there. It's just like whoever gives a bit of energy and a bit of a connection. And there's some people that have been around a long time, obviously got more established connections, but there's people just coming in new that are just bringing in that energy and bringing in that connection, bringing in that kind of investigative curiosity as well. So that is all constitutes the community, and to keep it going, to keep doing what we're doing, we're powered by kind of generosity in a way, people giving their time but also giving their money. So we try to raise £2,000 a month. This month we've raised £1,077. So I want to particularly thank Annabelle, Tom and Merja for, I hope I'm saying that right, for their one-off donations. But you can give one-offs or if you wanted to give a monthly, that'd be really helpful in helping us plan as well. So the links will be in the chat. Jack will put them in the chat box. So really thanks for any help you give us with that. And you are the community, like we are all the community. That's what I'm trying to get at with that. One of the things we do, one of the things that allows us to do is put on new events. And the big event that's happening, that's starting on Thursday, is the Journey in the Guide course. Journey in the Guide course run by myself and Sagar Sila. It's going to be a really in-depth way of looking at the 5 great principles of meditation and Buddhism, and really applying them in our life. So we'll do it over a course of 8 weeks. And we'll be in little groups, the same groups throughout the 8 weeks, and you'll be checking in with your little group, how things are going, how's it working, is it working, and you'll be investigating together, yeah. And we'll go through that whole 8 weeks, really exploring very, very fully the Buddhist path. In a way, you can kind of you can just have a go at being a Buddhist for 8 weeks. Yeah, see what happens. And see if you like it. So yeah, get on that. I don't know if you managed to get the booking guide up for that as well. Thanks, Jack. Okay, so that'd be great to see you on that if you manage it. And finally, I'd like to invite you onto the Zoom call, which is going to be happening in about 10 minutes. Alex B is going to be hosting that, and it's for everybody. So Ian, you're hosting it, aren't you? Ian's hosting that, and what it is just really a chance to connect with other people, talk about meditation, how it's going, anything that questions, comments, anything that came out of that session tonight or your practice generally, you can move about between you in that session. So the link is going to be in the chat box as well for that Zoom. So yeah, that just thanks for me, thanks everybody, thanks to everybody here, and thanks to you at home, and wish you a very good night.